and welcome to another episode of Sports Vibe. I'm Arnav Sarkar here with Jitesh Ramakrishnan and Kapil Nathan. Busy week in sports this week. As always, we've got an NFL recap for you, every game, every team, just like always. And every game, every team is kind of what the NHL is doing tonight too. We're gonna hit on some Frozen Frenzy, some NBA opening night action, some the MLB playoffs as we're in game seven between the Phillies and the Diamondbacks. And maybe even talk a little bit about some college football. Rutgers clinched a ball. I'm wearing my Rutgers jersey. I don't know if you guys can really see it or not, but maybe some of that since we haven't talked about that in a few weeks. Big game between Penn State, Ohio State as well, Alabama, Tennessee. And yeah, and a Cricket World Cup still going on. But I mean, so just a lot to talk about. But I mean, I guess first we could, like always, we could start with the NFL, speed run through every
Yeah,
single
let's
game.
let's start with probably I think Jitesh and I's favorite game, Buffalo and New England. So my
Oh
20
yeah,
seconds starts
Oh,
now.
hell yeah.
great
Great,
win, right?
great team win for the Patriots. I know we're probably not going to be playoff contenders, but I think Mac needed this. I think we found our offensive line combination. Our defense is playing good. Great team win. Nothing to complain about, except kind of slow in some places, especially towards
The
the end of
the
the game.
tackling was a bit
Tackling
poor.
wasn't a bit poor. It was very poor. Lots of would-be sacks missed. The Stephon Diggs touchdown toward the end, though that
Oh
kind
yeah,
of
that was
probably helped
brutal.
us later on. I will say Buffalo. I don't think they're a bad team. They've just been gutted by injuries. Papalono's out, Daquan Jones is out, Trey White's out, and I think they're a good team. It's just that their injuries are taking their toll. Josh Allen obviously didn't have the best day, but this was on Buffalo's defense to kind of secure the win, and they did not. But Josh Allen also, he played okay in the first quarter from the first half, but then he really turned it on the second half, especially the fourth quarter. I think Ken Dorsey needs to start getting that aggressive play calling, scheme he was in the beginning of last year, but he still hasn't seemed to recapture that magic since.
All right, and now from my side, well, first of all, shout out to the greatest coach of all time, Coach Belichick. Regular
300
season win
wins
number
in the
300.
regular. Well
Yeah,
done.
well done,
Probably
well
should
done.
have probably
I
should have
mean,
come last week for game 500,
no,
but
really, it should have come a couple of weeks ago. We should be more
should
like
have.
4-3 right now. But hey,
Yeah.
only can move on to the next game. And we played the Dolphins pretty well last time. So, I mean, but then again, this is in Miami. Should be a tough battle.
Unfortunate. Yeah.
Uh,
They always have our
Kendrick,
number there. Had it
yeah.
since 2019.
Let's see. Kendrick Bourne, of course, had a pro and con. He scored a touchdown, but he also had the fumble, which led to the Buffalo touchdown. But then again, I look at that as a pro because Kendrick Bourne's fumble led to the epic comeback with Mac to Mike Gesicki, and arguably the worst touchdown celebration we'll ever see. What the hell is that, Grady? I have no
I think
idea
he
what that
just I
was.
think we can let off the Max Flander. He's taking a
Yeah,
little bit too much. Let's just let him have it.
no, I would argue this was Mac's best game as a Patriot. 83% completion rate, 25 out of 30,
Wow.
272 yards, two touchdowns. Mac was great. Mac was
Mhm.
great.
Yeah.
Of course, ground game was solid. And oh yeah, lesson for next week: feed Demario Douglas. Feed
Yes,
Demario
please.
Douglas.
He's so shifty, helped us so much. Just use him. Sure he had that fumble against Miami, but he's just too, shifty and he's just too good in open space, just that you can't use him. So,
Yeah,
he's gonna
yeah,
need to if Juju's out another week, if Kayshon Boutte is still being benched another week, then he's gonna be, gonna need to be in there a lot more.
yeah. All right, Arnav,
Okay, let's talk about speak. Oh, go
but
ahead,
no,
Arnav.
we'll let Arnav recap the Giants, and then we'll speed cap the other ones.
All right,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. By the way, that's a great win. And it was a very kind of back and forth game. I was thinking the Patriots would do, and then I saw the Bills go ahead and the Patriots won. Pretty exciting stuff, honestly. I mean, yeah, I was kind of happy not only because the Giants lost to the Bills in heartbreaking fashion, but also just I think the Bills are a little bit
Mhm.
overrated. Also, injuries have been a concern for them. But I guess going to the Giants, yeah, they won
Talk
again.
about the
So
Giants and Commanders. Yeah.
second win of the season. Um, a good
And
start. I mean,
this is like I read a stat that
they finally get Jalen
this is I read a
Hyatt.
stat somewhere that
Sorry.
yeah, there's a stat somewhere that this is the first game ever started and won by a black quarterback for the Giants,
Yeah,
which
I
is
saw that
pretty
in
insane
franchise
in the hundred
history,
year
right?
history. I think the Giants defense was elite on,
They were. They
Sunday.
were.
I also think that, Sam Howell, like, I don't think it's him. I think he seems to be a decent quarterback. It's just his line and,
The line
you
is
know, play
terrible.
calling
Like
to some
worse, might
extent,
be
but
worse than the Giants line.
yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, the
Yeah.
Giants
But the Giants
they
offensive
played
line,
well, but
yeah.
I mean
No.
the offense is still struggling, but I'm glad they got Darren Waller involved. That was great. They're starting to get Jalen High involved as well. That was good. And then Saquon Barkley scored a touchdown. So, the offense they got off to a good start 14-0, and then they
Mhm.
kind of, let the Commanders back in the game, and they kind of tried to give away
I
the
mean,
game.
like you guys are,
Kayvon dropped a
I
pick,
mean, like,
and then
you
Saquon
guys,
fumbled,
and
and
then,
then, but they still hung
you
on and
guys
won.
also, yeah, the Jahan Dotson drop was
I
also brutal
know.
on fourth down.
Yeah,
And
on
if he
fourth
catches that, that's
down.
a
We got a
touchdown.
little bit
Jahan
lucky.
Dropson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's beat cut
Right.
some of the other games, starting with Miami. Miami and Philly. I mean, like I had Miami
Ooh,
winning this
that was
game
a good
just
one. Yeah.
because I thought the Eagles defense was
Me
kind of
too.
banged up,
Yeah,
kind of
their corners are banged
questionable.
up. Yeah.
But resounding win to Philly, I think the most slept on assistant coach in the league right now is Sean Desai of Indian heritage. We're all
Mm-hmm.
happy about that. He led
Yeah.
up one offensive touchdown on Sunday night against probably the best offense we've seen in a while. That's insane. Like, I mean, this is statistically the best offense since the greatest show on turf, and he held them to one offensive touchdown. You have to give credit to somebody, and with a banged up secondary, you have to give credit to him. Jalen Hurts, he's still not recapturing his last year's form. He's still playing between that 2021 and 2022 form I mentioned a few weeks prior. But I think he's doing what he needs to win. I don't think he cares about his stats. He's just doing what it needs to win. And I think this Eagles team, that daunting schedule doesn't seem that daunting anymore, given that some of these teams like Dallas and Buffalo seem to be kind of overrated. So I think they'll be fine for now. As
But
for
Dallas is like perennially overrated. Like it's practically
yeah.
been that case since 1996.
Yeah. For Miami, a lot of questions. I mean, like, sure, you guys, your offense was bad. Your defense. I mean, like Vic Fangio, everybody knows about him. He's one of the elites, but he's not starting off on the best foot. If he wants to endear himself to the Miami faithful, he kind of needs to step up those defensive play calls. Of course, giving up 48 to Buffalo wasn't in his, wasn't in high, it wasn't the best, but he should probably play better. Mac McDaniel, he's this offensive guru. He should probably, I think this is, I mean, like I really don't want to call this a fluke game, but it's not going to be a fluke game because this Miami team, it just doesn't seem to beat good or great teams, and that's gotta at a question at a certain point that's got to be a question mark in my opinion.
Yeah. No, I
So
definitely. Yeah, I agree with that.
yeah. Let's stay in Florida, Tampa, and I think it was Atlanta that came to town. I mean, like this was just bad football to a lot of extent. Desmond Ridder had like 3 fumbles. Baker Mayfield didn't have the best game. He's kind of looking like the Baker that we kind of all expected him to be. But there was some, the Bucks offense, it had 2 opportunities to tie the game and failed. The Bucks defense didn't also hold up after, scoring with 48 seconds left to tie. Like I think the Bucks are kind of regressing. It's kind of expected, but and like they have a huge game Buffalo Thursday night. If they can keep it close, I think to a certain extent they should be okay for now. But as that loss, 2 days ago, that that shouldn't have happened. You probably should have won that game. It was at home. You were the favorites. Kind of screwed it up, especially with Atlanta gifting you all those turnovers. Atlanta defense, I thought it played pretty good actually. I think this is an underrated defense. Ryan Nielsen has done a great job. Bijan Robinson, let's talk. Like, I don't want to talk too much, but
What's there to talk about? He didn't even play.
well, I meant like the reason was because of an illness apparently
Yeah,
that we didn't know
but
about until after
he
the
wasn't
game.
listed on the injury report with having a
And
migraine
that's what
too.
the NFL is questioning him about that. I mean, like I kind of understand, why they didn't, but at the same time, kind of should have that courtesy because he's a player that you have to game plan for. So, at least the other coaches have to kind of know the,
No, there's no courtesy with that within the NFL. Because
yeah.
you don't owe it to the other coach to tell your star running back it has like illness or something. I mean, like you don't owe it to the star running back. You owe it towards fantasy owners. But
Yeah,
joking aside, but
that's unfortunate. Yes.
no,
So
no, it's
let's
like joking aside, but it's like
Mhm.
I mean, like you see guys even listed on the injury report with like the flu. So it's like we've seen that
Illness. Yeah,
before.
that's what they kind of should have
So
done.
I mean, I question why it wasn't listed like that.
I mean, like the reason they give was because they always thought he was gonna play, but they didn't know. I mean, like just turns out he wasn't
I mean,
feeling well throughout the game, and they only
I mean,
gave him like.
have you even tried so much as walking with a migraine? That itself is hard as
Yeah,
hell.
unfortunately. So let's stick in the South. Let's go to New Orleans New Orleans and Jacksonville. I thought this was a well played game. Obviously a huge drop from Foster Moreau in the game's tying seconds that probably would have taken it to overtime. But I thought the Saints offense, they started out really slow as they have done all year. Then they just came to life in the fourth quarter. But if you want to win, I think if you want to win the NFC South, you just can't do this. You can't
Well,
win in the you can't
well,
win in this league going with slow starts.
well. Speaking of Saints dropping, you saw the news with Chris Olave.
I did see that.
Oh,
Obviously, I don't expect it to be too much. He'll just get a slap on the wrist, so I wouldn't take this as too notable. But I thought Chris Olave had himself a good night. But this Jacksonville offense is really starting to take hold. I think they'll continue to grow better. Obviously, they haven't been good these first few weeks. They'll grow better, I'm sure. The Indy game last week was a great example, and then the Saints game against in that place, a lot of things have happened to visiting teams, and the Jaguars came in, they won in unconvincing fashion, but they did okay. They did enough to get the W and take the lead in the South. So speaking of the South, let's move up to was Tennessee, and that was last week, right? Tennessee and Baltimore, or was that this week? I'm not
it
sure.
was last week because the Ravens played the Lions.
Yeah.
Dominating.
So yeah. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
correct. So let's take it to the South. I want to talk Indy and Cleveland.
Oh, that was a
What a
good
game,
game.
first of all. That was a great game. Myles
Yeah.
Garrett, he should probably be the DPOY favorite after that. Maybe a few MVP votes if if you're kind of serious about that. But he played great. The Browns defense, though, it got absolutely obliterated. Shane Steichen, he called a great game. Gardner Minshew. Yeah, I mean, like, this is a lot of his performances from, like, especially that Cowboys performances last year. Great performance, like, numbers wise, but turnovers wise, not good. Like, he had 4 turnovers in the game. Obviously that field goal block, and the subsequent points by the Browns, and then the refs, ref ball, that you can't stop it. So unfortunately, like, I question Shane Steichen's use of timeout after that last third down. I don't think he should have taken it. And I'll tell you why, because his defense was playing so great. You didn't need to give the Browns offense a chance to reset. Hopefully Deshaun Watson, heals, hopefully not. You kind of get what I'm saying, but if you're going to pay 46 million a year for a guy who, can come in for only 4 or 5 snaps a game, you kind of messed up. I'll tell you that right now. So let's
Yeah, but
talk.
there's also the news where it's like concussion protocol, and then he passed it, and then like come back into the game.
I mean,
I
some sources said he was benched. Some says he was just trying to, protect the shoulder after the rotator cuff injury he suffered the past few weeks.
Yeah, and there's a tweet
So
I just saw by Schefter where it's saying like normally that injury for baseball players itself takes like 4 to 6
4
weeks.
to 6 weeks. Yeah, I saw that too.
So
Short-term IR might be the best thing if the Browns are serious about winning this season. They've had 2 good games in these past few weeks, so I think you'd probably be best to put him on IR, make sure he's healed up, let PJ Walker. He's a backup, but he's winning, and that's what really counts.
Here's PJ Walker. He's not bad.
He's not going to put up the greatest stats, but he is going to get you a win. No. We saw that in Carolina a lot last year.
Yeah, because like at the end of the day, the NHL, it comes down to depth performance, like depth. Like for example, like right now, like with all their injuries that have happened to like starters and everything, like the best backup starting right now is probably Gardner Minshew. And Gardner Minshew isn't exactly that great of a starter, but still, like as long as he's able to hold his ground, then the Colts should be just fine.
I think that too. Just cut down on the turnovers. It's been a question for him all his career, but if he can do that, this Colts team, they lost Richardson for the year, so they're not going to be in contention this year, which is okay. They didn't even plan on it, so I think you're not necessarily going to get like a top 3 pick, but you're not necessarily going to be outside the top 10 either for picks. So I think they're going to fall somewhere in that range. So I mean, like, I would hate to see it, but Marvin Harrison Jr. might, play in the stadium where his dad did for all those great years. Hopefully not, but it probably seems like that. So let's talk about the Ravens. Wow, like Wow.
I know.
Like
Absolutely
I thought the
dominant.
Lions were gonna pull this out, but
Me
Lamar could
too.
not miss apparently.
Lamar could not miss. I mean, like, sure, it's the
Um,
Lions defense. They're not, the
this
best.
might have been a top 5 Lamar game of like
Of
in
his
Ravens
career.
history. Top 5.
Yeah. I mean, like, sure, he had some great games, but this was great. I mean, against the, a team that's been tossed around as Super Bowl contenders,
No,
Todd
no,
Monken
no.
did some.
I'll tell you what happened. Detroit reverted back to what they were playing like a decade ago. Like I don't know
Well,
what the hell happened with them. They could not
I
get a
think,
first down. They could not score. They couldn't run the ball. They couldn't
yeah,
pass the
this
ball.
was
Jared
unfortunate.
Goff had like 50
Yeah.
passing yards by halftime or something like that. It was
Yeah, this was
pathetic.
a performance that I'm pretty sure nobody saw, but but like we all knew that it was going to be a tough one for the Lions. We didn't expect, like this bad of a showing. I think
Right.
Aaron Glenn's times are numbered. I mean, like sure he had the good game against KC in week 1, but since then, he hasn't exactly played great teams. But when they do play great teams, he's let up a significant number of points: 38 to Baltimore, 37 to Seattle. Well, some of those were pick 6 points, but you get the idea. I think Aaron Glenn, I mean, like, he's not the best defensive coordinator in the league by a significant margin, but if there's an upgrade next year, I think they should definitely, try and take it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, I'm not sure why they didn't, replace him last year, given the, the breadth of candidates that there were last year for defensive positions, but, that's unfortunate. Jahmyr Gibbs scored his first NFL touchdown. Shout out to that Bama alum. But Lions, I think they just need to reset real quickly. We can just toss this as a fluke game.
No,
They
like
didn't play their
here's
best
the thing.
football.
Here's the thing. Like all the good teams, they always have like that one game where they just drop a bomb and they're the victims. Every good team has one of these games
Sure.
like throughout a season. It's just a matter of
Yeah.
how many times you can rebound from this. So I don't necessarily think this is that big of a deal for the Lions.
But I mean, like they're still 5-2. They're still first in the North. This is it's not a big setback. But like at the same point, if you want to show that you're a playoff contender, like a Super Bowl contender, you can't have these kinds of losses anymore. And I think Dan Campbell knows that. I think they're going to rebound this week and win big against Las Vegas next week. But hopefully, who knows?
Las Vegas should be an easy opponent to feast on. Speaking of which, let's talk about the Chicago Bears.
Oh my God, Chicago Bears, Tyson Bagent.
Well, then again, if the Raiders were an easy opponent, why the hell couldn't we beat them? But
yeah, I'll save my complaint.
I'll save my complaining for later.
Yeah, I did have Las Vegas winning that game pretty handily. It was reversed, but what a win for the Bears. This is a team that, they had huge aspirations coming in, hasn't exactly turned out that way. They're, last in the NFC North, but this is a good win. Their defense did some great things, albeit against, Brian Hoyer. So it's not, it should be taken with a significant grain of salt. But
I think it would have been a fairly similar result if Jimmy Garoppolo was in. Like how much would have really differed? Maybe an extra 3 points. Maybe.
Yeah. But this Raiders defense, like wasn't good coming in. It's not good. It's not good. I mean, like sure you held New England to 17.
That's
but,
because their offense sucks.
Fly. Yeah. It didn't suck on Sunday, but the Raiders defense, I mean, like you drafted who seems to be a bust right now at pick 7.
Raiders do nothing but draft busts. Like that's literally been their entire history.
Yeah.
Like that's like since they lost the Gruden Bowl in 37 Super Bowl 37 back in 03, they've been doing nothing but drafting bust after bust after bust. Like occasional bright spots like Derek
Colton Miller, he's obviously been a huge
Derek Carr, who's been cast into the fiery depths of hell. Then Max Crosby, who's been excellent, but the problem is there are 10 other terrible players on defense, so he can only do so much.
Yeah,
and then
I feel bad for Max Crosby. But like he wants to win. He wants to win now. It's not going to happen.
And let's not forget the Khalil Mack was an amazing pick. You traded him away for 3 firsts, and you have
2.
And you
that was 2.
Oh, 2. Yeah. And then you
got nothing in return, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, great win by the Bears. Raiders. You're either going to fire Josh McDaniels or have the number 1 pick. You might get both. So,
they're not going to get the number 1 overall pick. Okay. Carolina is helping out too much with Chicago with that one. Yeah. So I guess.
So let's go to speaking of Khalil Mack. Let's go to the Chargers Chiefs. Obviously one of the biggest games of the week. great first and second quarter. I thought this was, going to rival the Rams Chiefs game from 5 years ago, but did nothing in the second half. Herbert did not look, good in the second half. I don't know what happened. A few picks, no points on the board. I don't know if that's his finger or just the Chiefs defense is playing all out of their mind. And I think it's
I
the
don't think the
combination of
Chiefs
both.
defense is that great. I mean, they're still pretty solid
They're
in
playing.
certain
They've been
areas.
playing great football. I think this is an underrated defense. But
No,
we
it's
have
so
nightmares of Spags.
no.
But
I'm just saying, like, I don't think they're that great on defense. Like, not a top 10 defensive unit, but they're definitely a unit that's been overlooked quite a bit. And of course, recently,
yeah.
I think one of the key linebackers, Nick Bolton, broke
Nick
his
Bolton,
wrist or
he's gonna be
something
out
like
for a
that.
while. That's gonna pain them. But this is a defense that's I think it's top. I mean, like they've been playing top 10-ish, Jitesh. Like they're top 10
Yeah,
stats wise too. So I mean, like even against Detroit, right? I mean, like some of those points came off the pick six, so you really can't blame them. But other than that, this is a defense that's continuing to stand out. Steve Spagnuolo, unfortunately, we don't like him, but he's done a great job, and nobody can complain about that. Chris Jones, Trent McDuffie's been great. But like the Chiefs
yeah.
showed why they had to trade up with us to draft him. He's been playing great football, like elite football, I'd say. Herbert, he had a few misses in the second half, but quite a few. But first half was fine. But like Chargers defense though, what the hell? Like like
You
you
say
are
you say
going to.
that like you have expectations for the Chargers defense.
I
They do
I
nothing
mean,
but blow
they did
after blow
nothing.
after blow.
I wouldn't be surprised if Brandon Staley is fired after this year, being a defensive-minded coach and letting
Excuse
all
me?
these
No,
teams
no,
score
no,
so many
no.
points.
He should have been fired in his rookie season, and I
Or
guarantee you,
last year. I mean,
no,
like sure, his
no,
rookie season.
his rookie season he should have been axed. And I guarantee you, the reason why he is staying right now is because Andy Reid is giving him side money for every game he screws up against the Chiefs.
But I
I
think
guarantee
I
it.
mean, like if Sean Desai keeps this up, I mean, like he could definitely get potential head coaching job in LA, or just promote Kellen Moore, have him bring good defensive coordinator in. That team could I mean, like this team can win a Super Bowl on paper, but the
No,
coaching
they
is
can't.
just the coaching is just horrible right now. Like the
No,
coaching is
no,
horrible. The
no. Just
secondary is
because
also horrible.
they have the Chargers name is the
Mm-hmm.
definitive reason
I mean,
why
like
they
even if
will
you take
never
off the
win the
charge,
Super Bowl.
if you take off the Chargers name, just their roster, I mean, like the roster is good and deep enough to compete. The coaching is bad. The secondary is bad. You're gonna have to draft a few cornerbacks or safeties next year. But Chargers defense, like this team is 2-4. Any hope of competing for the Super Bowl seems like a long one until they could get back into it. They obviously started really slow last year and then they caught up. But you can't have that in this league, but not with your roster. So let's stick in LA and go to the Rams, the Steelers. Obviously, horrible
Interesting
call on
one,
fourth
yeah.
down. Kenny
Yeah.
Pickett was
That was
short,
odd. Mm.
short by a mile. Probably I think the distance from LA to Pittsburgh was greater than the distance between
Probably.
these two.
Yeah,
But
probably.
horrible call. But Steelers offense. It's a not a it's like bad. I mean, like Kenny Pickett made a few audibles. Played the hero again. He shouldn't need to. With this offensive roster, Deontay Johnson looked really good coming back from injury. Steelers defense was also playing pretty good, despite Matthew Stafford playing some decent ball. TJ Watt obviously had that big pick. Um, you know, I think the Steelers team, they're on top of the North right now. I mean, like, thing is, they don't need to play like a really, really good team because just, but they're getting it done in close games. And that's what you kind of need to win in this league. You might not be, playing really good football, but you're playing good when it counts, you know, and that's, that's not the recipe for winning, overall, but it's working for them. Rams defense, they have got to draft a corner next year. Like this defense is very bad in the secondary. Jalen Ramsey would help them, but if they have a high enough pick, they should definitely draft, a few good corners that are
This will
coming
be
up in
the
the
Rams.
draft.
This will be assuming
Rams
that they
first,
hold on
yeah.
to it. This will be the Rams' first round pick
hmm
since
If they're,
2017.
yeah,
Yes, you
if
heard
they're
that right,
really
Arnav.
that bad, yeah.
Wow.
If they're
Yeah.
really that bad, if they're top five, they should obviously go for Kool-Aid McKinstry. If he's not going to be there, I don't think he's going to get out of the top 10. Kalen King and Cooper DeJean might be valuable, choices as well if they chose to declare. Let's skip over to Seattle and Arizona. Obviously, Seattle great game. Their defense is playing still pretty good after their defense has been playing great. Clint Hurtt, he got a lot of flack last year, but they did a great job in the draft. They took, Devon Witherspoon, who's been a star, at corner. They drafted, they did some drafts, this Seahawks defense is, it's not anywhere near elite, but it's playing great. It's playing great, and that's all you can ask of this group. They had that bad game week 1, but they've rebounded well since then. I'll give them that. Offense, it's not where it was last year, but they don't need to because the defense
it's
is playing
certainly
much better.
not the prettiest, but they're getting the job done.
They're getting it done. Arizona, you're still tanking. I mean, no really other choice to explain it. I mean, you might, taking a chance on Kyler right now seems unwise. But if you're trying to play and win some games,
I think it's unwise for 2 reasons. One, he's still coming off the ACL injury. Two, this could potentially be a prime opportunity for using Kyler as trade bait for quarterback needy teams. I certainly think that argument could be made, but the one caveat, of course, is that Homer clause contract.
Well, yeah, and obviously, I don't think teams would give more than a 1 or a 2 for him. If they do, they'd be stupid. So,
no. Not a first. Maybe a second. Maybe a second and a fourth. I don't. Yeah. But what teams would be in desperate need for Kyler Murray?
Atlanta.
That's the question we need to ask.
Atlanta, he would fit great into that offense. Honestly.
That's a good one. Falcon. Maybe even the Buccaneers.
Maybe even Green Bay if Jordan Love doesn't work out. Let's talk about that game.
Yeah, we haven't talked the Packers yet.
Oh yeah,
and then I think all that's left after that is and then I think after Vikings, the Packers 49ers, it's 49ers Vikings. All right, let's talk Super Bowl 32 then.
Good win by Denver. It wasn't convincing, especially against a young Green Bay team. Green Bay had a ton of injuries. Devondre Campbell still out. Christian Watson went out. Eric Stokes, their first round pick. He's still rehabbing from his foot injury. He suffered a big setback on Sunday, but Jordan Love, the early returns haven't been promising, but so they weren't on Aaron Rodgers either. So I mean, you can't expect him to be a star right now. He might have started out the first few weeks of the year like that, but you got to take it slowly by slowly. I'm still questioning some of LaFleur's play calls, especially in the first half. Really slow start. Jordan Love, he doesn't need to, he has the talent and everything, they've said that for so long, but, you kind of have to mix in play calls. That's what makes, players like Mahomes so great. He has all the talent and they do the right play calls. For Jordan Love, I think, you're trying to make him too much of a pocket passer. I think you should kind of get him on the move, get him, rolling out.
Yeah, I don't think Jordan Love is using his legs enough. He's definitely a lot. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't exactly
on that 3rd and 20. On that 3rd and 20, I thought he could have probably picked up quite a few yards, but it's in that 2-minute situation, so you probably shouldn't have.
I wouldn't exactly say he's like Lamar Jackson, because Lamar is far
he's nowhere close to Lamar Jackson.
No. You don't let me finish, because Lamar is a lot. Lamar, I think we all know from his game, he relies a lot more on his legs than he does on his arm. I think Jordan Love relies a lot more on his arms than his legs, but I think Jordan Love needs to start scrambling a bit more, using his legs to create plays. And then Pete Carroll.
That's what Aaron Rodgers did so well. And if you want to learn from him, you don't have to use your legs every play, but you do need to use them often. And
because Pete Carroll said it best about Russell Wilson when he's a Seahawk. I think this is from 2013, if I remember correctly. He said Russell Wilson runs to pass. He doesn't run to run. He runs to pass. That's where people like Lamar Jackson struggle, because he runs to run. He doesn't exactly run to pass.
Yeah.
So I think Jordan Love needs to optimize more on that route.
Let's talk about the most unfortunate upset of the week. The 49ers. That was bad. Cover 0 call was really,
that blown call at the end of the first half.
It wasn't a bad call, honestly.
No, but that's very on San Francisco.
It's
very on San Francisco.
I'll say that. Wasn't a bad call. The corner had the ball in his hands. You can't, that's not on Steve Wilkes. He made the correct call, just like the corner didn't make the play.
I don't know.
Having an extra And having an extra safety back would have, ran down the
No,
clock.
no,
I
no, no.
love that.
In those situations, like I don't think you should run like things like a cover zero or whatever.
Yeah,
You need to
The
play.
Jets know that. The Jets know that from way back
Oh yeah,
when.
yeah.
But
You need to have a one safety. You need to have one man
yeah.
team. Like you need to
But I
have a
mean, like
safety team.
I will say this though, Ward probably should have caught that. It was right in his hands. He got
Yeah,
mossed.
no, no, no.
He got
Here's the
mossed.
thing: if it hits your fingers, you can catch it. It's as
No, it
simple as
didn't hit
that.
his fingers. It hit his entire arm, his body. He had it. Addison just
Okay, well, if
pulled
it's
it away.
within this vicinity, you can
Yeah,
catch the
you
damn
should
ball.
catch it. That's why corners are corners, not wide receivers. But 49ers offense, it's been not 49ers these past 2 weeks. And that's
No,
a big cause
no.
for concern.
Brock Purdy has looked fairly
Yeah,
underwhelming.
we'll obviously, give him the Cleveland game. That's a great defense, bad weather conditions on the road. We'll give him that one, but he did not play, that good. I mean, like a lot of his, passes are, were dump offs. But like if you really want him to, excel, I mean, like he's excelled so far. Do not get me wrong, but you know, I think they probably should have got Kittle involved a lot more. I didn't see he was getting the ball much. Probably should use him. He's,
Yeah,
Purdy's favorite target.
yeah. No, it's like I've got a
Yeah.
problem with that because Kittle is very, and it's not his fault, obviously. It comes down to play calling.
Mhm.
He's very hot
Yeah,
and cold when it comes to receptions and everything.
I
Because
agree.
Kittle has no problem getting open. Kittle's no problem
Yeah.
throwing a dude off of him. Like Kittle can
Mhm.
do anything,
Oh yeah.
apparently, except demand the ball 20 times a game. And
Mm.
this is especially critical when Debo's going to be out for the next couple weeks.
Yeah.
Um, and then like are
McCaffrey has
you
that oblique
Mhm.
injury.
yeah, McCaffrey, but he still played every single
He
offensive
still
snap.
played well, basically, yeah. But
Yeah,
for Vikings defense, it started off bad. It's been getting better. Obviously the Chiefs game was, iffy, but they've been playing great football since then. So, I think Brian Flores, I still love him. He's doing a great job.
yeah.
So yeah. Okay, so let's talk about college football. So we'll start with Alabama, Tennessee. I went to the game. It's kind of the story similar to the Packers. Bad first half, but great second half, and we got the win. Alabama defense is playing at the Alabama defense level. They just got to be more consistent, I could say, with the offense as well. Milrow had that sack fumble. I'll toss that. He's had this one turnover every game. Can't seem to avoid it. But what's important is he bounced back well after that. He had a bunch of great throws, in the second half, I mean, like you had obviously the long touchdown to Bond. He also put, had some good passes to Burton, but Alabama defense, hasn't been playing with Pete Golding. Pete Golding was bad. We saw that now his talents carried him, but yeah, Tennessee, you have Milton and like you're struggling, and that's like, is it him? Is it the play calling? It's a mix of both, I think. You have the greatest arm college football has seen since Jamarcus Russell, probably. And yeah, that did not go well. Tennessee defense, great in the first half, not so much for the second half. Well tied.
Yeah. Big SEC week, also big Big Ten week. Like I mentioned, Rutgers beat Indiana, they're bowling. Crazy comeback against Michigan State the week before, where they were down 24-6, came all the way back. Special teams played a role in that game again against Indiana. Some more special teams and a win. And then Ohio State, Penn State, that was a very defensive battle, something I wasn't really expecting from the two of them. But it seems like their offenses, McCoy and Al, are both struggling a little bit. But Ohio State's defense basically helped Penn State out the end zone until garbage time. Penn State did a pretty good job on Ohio State as well, although Marvin Harrison got in the end zone kind
Mhm.
of late, and Ohio State was
Yeah.
able to do slightly
I
better
think,
on
this
offense.
for Drew Aller, I don't blame him. He's a freshman, he's playing
Yeah.
against,
Hmm.
probably the best defense in college football right now. So I'll give him slack for this one. But if he wants to be, shown as the the can't miss prospect he is, he should bounce back. I think there'll be a lot of opportunities for him
Oh yeah.
too. Michigan's on the horizon. That's a great defense as well. You don't have to play you have to play better. So it's
Yeah.
not bad though. Penn State's defense was great. Manny Diaz did a lot of good things. Um, just gonna stop Marvin Harrison, and frankly, no team can.
That's true.
He should go top two. I think he's the best prospect at receiver since Julio. So
Yeah, I mean
yeah.
he's pretty good. Yeah. And then I guess
Hmm.
speaking of, so Ohio State's coming to Rutgers. I'm gonna be in color commentary for that. Pretty excited. Speaking of Michigan, seems like they've actually been cheating and it's not like a big thing that's overblown because they've been recording the signs like Patriot style. So it's pretty bad. I mean, I don't know what the NCAA is gonna do because it might take years, but I mean, yeah, it's just like
Mhm.
not really looking
Yeah.
good. But yeah, and then in the
Mhm.
MLB, I mean,
Yeah.
Diamondbacks leading the Phillies for
So
two last
D-backs
night.
are up 4-2.
I mean,
D-backs
yeah,
are up 4-2.
the
Hopefully
D-backs
that
are up
stays
for
that
two, yeah.
way. I do not want the Phillies to win. Rangers D-backs. That's good.
Yeah, that'd be
I
an
think the
interesting
Rangers are going
World
to win
Series.
the World Series if that happens. I think the
Yeah,
Rangers are playing really, really good baseball when it counts, and that's what happens. That's what great caliber teams need to do. So if the Diamondbacks hold on to win, I've got Rangers. If the Phillies win, I got Phillies.
yeah.
Yeah,
Sounds,
and I guess we can cover that. We can go dive more into that recap into the next part where we will also like maybe talk a little hockey, a little basketball, and a little
Basketball,
cricket.
mhm.
yeah. Mhm.
All right, yeah, sounds good. So we'll come back, I guess, with the next part. And for now, this has been another episode of Sports Vibe.